Some viewers may find the following video disturbing. Viewer discretion is advised.
Most days I really do stand firm and confident in my singleness, and I love and enjoy my solitude, my living alone era. But baby, I have not been in a committed relationship since my sophomore year of college, and I'm now 27, and I know that time really doesn't matter and time is just a construct, but how does time measure up to someone who truly does desire to be romanced and all the things? And I feel like someone who loves to romanticize their own life, I feel like going so long without that desire being fulfilled from another person, it's actually just like a really fucking sucky feeling. And I don't care how you slice and dice it and how many people try to tell you, oh, like you need to romanticize your own life or you need to learn how to do all these things and not wait around for someone. And I just feel like I've been doing this for myself for years. And still at the end of my days, I feel sometimes sad, like fuck. It's like they always say, you know, he's gonna come, he's gonna come, he's gonna come. And I'm just like, is he though? You know, and I try to like stay positive and reassure myself that like, yeah, girl, like he's gonna come. Look at you, you're an amazing person. But it's just like when you have been single for so long and you've had, you know, failed situationships, it's just like, fuck. Like, I think I'm at a point where I feel like I really need some, like, tangible advice on, like, this dating shit. Maybe it's a full moon, but I'm about to cry. But, like, I think it's just, like, I need tangible advice at this point. And no, I'm not desperate for a man, but I do think that there needs to be a safe space held for the girlies that have been single for like years and not just like I've been single for like 6 months or like since the summer. Like I do think there needs to be a safe space held.
So I was at the gym locker room and this woman asked me if I was in a relationship or if I was single. And I said I was single and she's like, okay, good. Stay single. Trust me, you wouldn't want to be in a relationship. And I'm like, ma'am, I'm sorry. There's a ring on your finger. Aren't you married? And she's like, yeah, but that's different. I'm like, how is it different? How is it that you as a married woman are telling me someone who is not married to not be married? Like, where is the freaking sense in this? She goes like, oh no, it's different nowadays. Nowadays, you guys have it rough. That's why you shouldn't want to be in a partnership or marriage or have kids. None of that. I'm like, well, you have kids and you're married and you're telling me what I should and shouldn't want. And I'm just saying this because, you know, for instance, I have a successful business that I operate and run on my own. And if someone were to ask me, I am not going to tell somebody, no, don't do it. It's a lot of hard work. You know, go slave away for the corporations instead. I am not going to say that to somebody. I'm not going to scare somebody away. I'm not going to discourage somebody from wanting something that I already have. And I don't get it. I really, really don't. And I'm just saying this because there was a video that came up on my FYP of a woman saying the same exact thing. Single people, single women, you don't want a man, trust me. And I get it. It's really, really rough out there. But by no means should anybody be encouraging something, especially if they have that same thing that that person wants. Like, that is so crazy. It is so normal to want partnership. It is so normal to want relationships. It is so normal to desire to have children and families and things like that. And for some of you to come up on this app, and I'm talking to the men too, because I keep seeing it on my FYP, fellas, stay single, you don't want a relationship. No, don't project your trauma and your fear of relationships and intimacy onto other people. Stop discouraging people to, you know, not get into relationships. Stop encouraging them to stay single. It's not, if people want to be single, that's great. But if people don't want to be single, stop telling people, men and women, that you shouldn't want a relationship or marriage or kids or any of that. That is crazy toxic behavior.
And I don't know if y'all saw, I forget the name of the church. It was like Union City or something church in Maryland, in that area, and they had a singles conference. And it was like the line of single people was like wrapped around the block. Like it was like you would have thought Beyonce was in there. Like it was jam packed. So I'm like, all these single people looking for love, looking for relation. Something is going wrong. Something is going on. It can't be all of these single people and they're just all of these single people. It can't be something wrong with them individually. Like there is just something going on in culture. There is something going on in society where people are just, I don't know, not genuine. People don't desire long-term relationships, marriages. It's like a single epidemic. It's a single pandemic. There's something going on. And I really hope that we get to the bottom of it soon. Because it feels good to be like, wow, okay, it's not just me. It's a lot of other people who are single, who are Christian, who value relationship, who still want, you know, the fairy tale ending, quote unquote. And then the other part of me is like, damn. If it's 200 single women at the conference and I'm 201, like, am I ever gonna get a man if the line in front of me has 200 other people also waiting for a man? Woo-wee!
Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel, Rome with Romy, where I talk about life, love, and culture. So today's video was actually inspired by a comment that I received who asked, can you talk about avoiding relationships even if you want to be in one next, please? This comment was left on the last commentary video that I did about the woman who paid $10,000 for a dating coach. Now, I'm going to assume that the question is asking how you can live a fulfilled life being single without having to feel like you need to get in a relationship. I believe that that is what the question was. I hope that I answer it correctly. But either way, what I'm about to share in this video will help a lot of you. Now, before starting with the material that I would like to present, I do have to address some things because I know that there are going to be a lot of new viewers that are going to come and watch this video and probably make assumptions based on the fact that I am a married woman. However, I will provide a bit of context of my life and my background so that you guys can understand why these topics hold a place in my heart and why I feel like I can definitely provide a lot of not only education towards this, but also hopefully inspire some of you guys to be fulfilled while you're on your single journey. I was a perpetually single person for a majority of my life. I literally would get into a lot of situationships. My first boyfriend was a church boyfriend. You know, you just be having a little church boyfriend. Would you be my girlfriend? Yes or no on the note. That was my first boyfriend. And I was 13 years old when I had my first kiss. And then my second boyfriend was at 16 years old, another church boy, because my parents were very involved in the church. I went to church like every single Sunday. So I have an extensive background in the Christian church, especially more particularly the Haitian church. I know all about that. And then after that, I did not date anyone in high school. My relationship status from high school up into adulthood was pretty much non-existent. I literally either had 6-month relationships or extended situationships. The only, I would say, legitimate relationship that I had was when I dated one of my exes. The relationship lasted for 1.5 years. He did propose to me, but y'all, he ain't have a job. He wasn't set in life. I think he was just going through the motions. So I didn't really have a great dating life, to be honest with you. And after the end of that relationship, I decided that I wanted more for myself. That's when I made the conscious decision to work on me. And I said, you know what? If there's one thing I could bank on, it's me and what I want. Then from then on, I accomplished a lot of things in my life. I went back to school, got my bachelor's degree, I got my master's degree, I moved abroad. In between that, I was in different career spaces. I was able to do internships. I was able to travel. I basically lived life on my terms. And I also went through a healing journey. I started to learn more about myself, more about what I want, what I was looking for. I had already put in my mind that I was going to live my life on my terms. And if I so happen to find someone along that journey, I wanted to make sure that I was the best version of myself, because that was my number one priority. So while I was single, I was happily content. I was making moves, y'all. I wasn't just sitting there twiddling my thumbs, waiting for my Boaz. I wasn't doing that. I made sure that all my moves were intentional. Every move that I made was based on what I wanted in that moment, and also based on my needs at that moment, and prioritizing myself and my happiness first and foremost before anything or anyone else. All of this to say that I am more than qualified to speak on this topic. We're going to break this into several parts. My intention is just to present the information and for you all to decide what course of action you'd like to take going forward. So let's start first with the desire for love versus the reality. First, let's start by acknowledging the natural human desire for companionship. There have been extensive studies done on why humans are wired to connect. Since the beginning of mankind, humans have always had the desire to socially connect with others. One of the leading scientists in this field, by the name of Matthew Lieberman argues that across many studies of mammals, from the smallest rodents all the way to us humans, the data suggests that we are profoundly shaped by our social environment, and that we suffer greatly when our social bonds are threatened or severed. When this happens in childhood, it can lead to long-term health and educational problems. We may not like the fact that we are wired such that our well-being depends on our connections with others, but the facts are facts. Basically, what he is saying is that we have an innate need to connect with others. Now, the thing is that a lot of people mistake this need of connection with romantic connection. And the reason why is because that is what we're being fed daily. The reality is that a lot of our social norms and also what's being fed to us in the media and also in music and in our entertainment, just every aspect of society, play a role in our perception of romantic love. Now, cultural norms can significantly influence how individuals perceive and experience romance. This can lead to a strong emphasis on finding a romantic partner and also potential pressures that are related to the relationships. When there's a cultural component to the pressure, you can develop feelings of loneliness and social exclusion, especially if you're single, because then the pressure to be with someone has become a priority, because there is an expectation for you to fulfill your contractual obligation to society based on what they have defined and outlined for you. There's also the fear of missing out on this experience, because you may feel as if everyone else has been able to find it, and the fact that I'm not able to find it, or the fact that it hasn't found me, means that there's something wrong with me. You start to feel like romance and love and finding someone is the ultimate experience, and that is something that you have to accomplish. At a certain point, everyone around you is getting married, or everyone around you is having children. Everyone around you seems paired up. And when you're outside of that, I guess, exclusive circle, you start to internalize feelings of a lack of value. That's for some people, right? They feel that they aren't complete if they do not fulfill what everyone else has been able to accomplish.
God has created a soulmate for everybody. The only reason you haven't met your soulmate is because you're not ready for him. That's it. He'll introduce you to him the moment you're ready. But you can't date Mr. Wrong trying to meet Mr. Right. That's the problem. It's kind of, see, it's a little tricky, ladies, when you ask God for something. When you ask God for something, you got to get out the way. He don't need your help. So while you're asking God for the man of your dreams, you can't be filling time with just something to do because you're tired of being alone. You just got to sit still and wait. He delivers the package. You know, this is what I learned about faith. As soon as you ask God for something, he boxes it up and he ships it. The problem with the package is he never gives you the date of arrival. But the package ships as soon as you ask for it. But here's the key. The package only delivers to Faith Street. You have to stay on Faith Street.
I would like to pose a question that we rarely ask ourselves. And I think that this is going to open a conversation of what is internally going on. Because I feel like once you start to really question why you feel a certain way or what has influenced your decisions, then it starts to make more sense and you'll be able to take actionable steps going forward. My question to you all is what you're really missing romantic love, or are you just craving deep, authentic social connections? There was an article published by the Pacific Neuroscience Institute, and it was titled The Neuroscience of Love and Connection. And this was published in 2025, so it's fairly new. This article goes over how your brain shapes relationships and the neuroscience behind how we perceive relationships. The article begins by saying, love and human connection are often described as mysterious and powerful forces, but modern neuroscience has begun to unravel the biological and chemical processes that drive our deepest emotions. From the first spark of attraction to long-term attachment and social bonds, love and connection are deeply rooted in the brain's complex network of neurotransmitters, hormones, and neural pathways. The article continues to talk about the chemistry of love, and that includes dopamine, oxytocin, and serotonin. Love and connection are often associated with an intoxicating rush of emotions, and that feeling isn't just poetic, it's chemical. The brain releases several key neurotransmitters that shape our romantic and social experiences. So it's not just romantic, y'all. The romantic and social experiences are pretty much transmitted by the brain. So you can have the same emotions for a friend and also a romantic partner. The same emotions can be released whether you're in a romantic relationship or not. So let's go through these chemicals. Dopamine. It's often called the feel-good neurotransmitter. Dopamine is heavily involved in the reward system of our brain. It plays a crucial role in feelings of pleasure, motivation, and reinforcement. When we fall in love or experience deep social connection, listen, when we fall in love or experience deep social connection, so you have the same release of dopamine, whether it's with your partner or whether you connect with someone on a platonic level, but you just feel a sense of community, y'all, and a social connection. All right, let's continue. Dopamine levels surge, creating a sense of euphoria, similar to the effects of addictive substances like cocaine, like the white powder, y'all. Next chemical is oxytocin, known as the bonding hormone. Oxytocin is released during moments of intimacy, such as hugging, kissing, and sexual activity, as well as during meaningful social interactions, y'all. So this can also be released, whether it's romantic or platonic. It strengthens emotional bonds and fosters trust between partners, family members, and close friends, playing a key role in long-term attachment and social bonding. Let's continue to the next chemical, and the last one that they indicated in this article is serotonin. This neurotransmitter, which helps regulate mood and emotions, tends to fluctuate in the early stages of love. Interestingly, research has shown that serotonin levels in people newly in love resemble those found in individuals with obsessive compulsive disorder. possibly explaining why early infatuation often leads all-consuming. People get obsessed, and we're going to see how that plays out. Serotonin also contributes to emotional stability in long-term relationships and social connections. So we have these three chemicals that are not only released when you're partnered or boot up with somebody, but also when you just have a connection with somebody and you can connect with someone and you feel these same emotions. They're all released. So your brain is basically releasing these chemicals, and you may perceive that you actually need the romantic relationship, but in actuality, you might just need the social connection and the bonding. Let's segue and talk about the danger of replacing community with a relationship. The idealization of romantic relationships can have you forming unhealthy dependency and expecting one person to fill a void and be your emotional caretaker, which can lead to dangerous results. The pressure to be in a relationship can also lead to toxic dynamics such as codependency, control, and resentment. You are also more prone and vulnerable to abusive men. Isolated people and people who do not have strong ties to a community, a village, family, friends, they are easy to manipulate, because one of the first things that an abuser does is that he will isolate you from your community, because he knows that you will be able to thrive the most in community. And so he removes that from you and strips it away. And many abusers intentionally distance their partners from their support system, and it's a level of control. So while you're looking for the romantic relationship to fill that need for community, you can find yourself in a lot of trouble. And let's go through some statistics, because y'all know I like to wake it up. So we gonna wake it up right now. There was an article published by the World Bank Group. This was in 2022, so it's probably worse now. And it was titled Violence Against Women and Girls, What the Data Tells Us. 2 of the most prevalent types of violence that women experience are intimate partner violence, so IPV, and non-partner sexual violence, NPSV. Almost 1 in 3 women across the world, this is global, y'all. This is global, have experienced one or both of these forms of violence at least once in their lifetime.
Violence against women and girls remain one of the most prevalent and pervasive human rights violations in the world.
As many as 2 million women and girls every year are thought to be the victims of male violence. Hardly surprising then that the police are calling it a national emergency.
So according to the stats here, there are some of you who are watching my video who have experienced this. And this is very alarming, y'all. This story presents the latest findings based on the WHO study published in 2021 that estimated global regional prevalence of IPV and NPSV. And they said 30% of women have experienced IPV or non-PSV. They go into the drivers of this violence, and they said that the drivers are complex and multifaceted. Research has identified several factors at the individual, family, community, and national level that are associated with higher risk of experiencing IPV. Growing up in an abusive household can create a cycle of violence. And they said studies show that boys who witness their mothers being abused are more likely to become perpetrators of IPV later in life. And girls who witness the same are twice as likely to experience IPV in adulthood. Then they said cultural norms, laws, and individual attitudes are deeply intertwined and shape the acceptability of violence against women. They went on to say that the data is clear Gender-based violence is a pandemic.
Okay, so the story of how someone tried to me in Vancouver. For context, I live in Toronto, Ontario. I've lived downtown for like a decade. I'm from Hamilton, Ontario, and I was visiting Vancouver on vacation. So I had taken the train from Toronto to Vancouver. It's like a 4-day sleeper train. Wonderful experience, would recommend to anybody. And I'd been in Vancouver for like a little over 24 hours. It was my first full day in Vancouver. But last Monday I did have to work, so I spent a lot of the day in my hotel working. And so I decided to take myself out for dinner and just kind of go walk around and see things. So took myself out for dinner. After dinner, I went to a store and I bought myself a couple of White Claws because I figured I'm on vacation, I'm gonna enjoy it. I'll go back to the hotel after my walk and, you know, have a few drinks watching cable TV in my king size bed. So I'd actually already been walking through Stanley Park for probably at least an hour and a half. I wasn't actually in Stanley Park when the assault happened. I was on the other side of the harbor there, almost back to where my hotel was in Cole Harbor. So I was in kind of, I think what most people would consider like a fairly safe touristy area that's typically well trafficked by people. And I was just walking and I happened to be like in a little area that was maybe darker than most and there was more trees. So I was on the seawall just walking and I think this guy said something to me. I honest to God can't remember what he would have said. And I like turned and he was up slightly like a little grassy hill and he didn't even respond. He just ran at me to attack me. I've honest to God never seen anything like that where it just felt like he was a predator and I was prey. Like, you know, this wasn't because he asked me out and I turned him down. This wasn't because we were chatting and I was trying to get away. Like, it was just he locked in on me and was like, I'm gonna kill this girl. So right when that happened, like I could tell he was running at me. I just started running as well. And he was pretty quickly able to catch up to me and he grabbed me by like the back of my jacket and then just slammed me into the ground. And I guess like for context, I'm about 5'2", maybe like 135 pounds. I'm not a small person, but I'm not a big person. And he was very much like an average sized man, maybe, you know, 5'10", probably 160 to 170 pounds. So with that first assault, I was one stunned, but also like, oh my God. And I just started fighting, screaming, fighting. Like I said, I had those drinks in that bag and I was able to pop back up pretty quickly. And then I was just like swinging them on him, like just wailing on him. He kind of backed down fairly quickly with that one and I was able to run off. And at that point I thought like, okay, that was just a random attack. I fought him off. I actually pulled my phone out and I called 911 and I was on police. I was on the phone with the police saying like, I'm being attacked, please help me, when he caught up to me for a second time. I didn't realize that like he was still following me, again, because it was quite dark at the time. But the second attack was definitely, I think, the worst or one of the worst of them. So he was able to, he grabbed my phone out of my hand and like smashed it on the ground multiple times. And the only way I can describe him was being like gleeful. Like he was taking great joy in hurting me. And, you know, I just knew like this person is not okay. There's no way to like ration or reason with them. Just fight. And so he got me down again. Like again, he grabbed me down on the ground. I almost feel lucky this time because he actually got me down on my back. And I'm not the strongest person, but I do have very strong legs. So I was kicking the fucking shit out of him, like kicking his chest, kicking his face, screaming. He was yelling at me like, shut up, you stupid bitch. You're such a C word. Just, you know, everything you would expect a loser man to be yelling at you while he's trying to kill you. And so eventually he actually like at one point grabbed my foot and ripped my shoe off because I'd been kicking him in the face so hard. And I was able to get away. That's when most of my injuries happened, kind of that second time and then the third time that he got me down. And I was able to like run off again and get pretty far before he grabbed me for the third time. The third time when he grabbed me, that's when he really started wailing specifically on my head. And that was at the point where like there was a second where like I blacked out completely, like my vision just went blank. And I just thought like, oh my God, I'm gonna die. I just kept telling myself like, get up. Like, you're hurt, this sucks, you're bleeding, but like get up because you're gonna fucking die. And so from that point on, kind of when I had that brief blackout to like when I popped back up again, it's very blurry because I think I was already adrenaline rushed and that just like sent me into overdrive. So I was able to fight him off again and continue running. He did grab me like a fourth time, but didn't quite get me all the way on the ground again to hurt me. And so I was just like running towards where I knew there would be people with one shoe just bleeding. He did actually break my nose. So I was just covered in blood from my nose. There was quite a, this is quite a large cut that I was just bleeding from. You know, my hands, my legs were all bloody. My pants were all ripped open and I was just bleeding all over the place. So like a bat out of hell, I must have ran so fast and thankfully encountered like a group of people. And I didn't know this at the time. I didn't know this until much later at the hospital, that they actually happened to be a group of like undercover plainclothes cops. So when I went screaming at them, they clearly could see the distress I was in, and he was still chasing me. Like he was still trying to attack me and kill me. If he had just turned around at any point and run off, I don't think the police ever would have caught him, because it was a completely random attack. Like, how would anyone have figured this out? So because he was still chasing me, they were able to apprehend him. I thought they were just a group of like nice guys who saw this girl running and screaming and crying and bleeding and clearly figured that he was the one who attacked her. And so from there, like, they sat me down. It was still kind of like on the wharf. It was near like the Westin Hotel where, you know, I found people. They were able to get my statements at that point because they asked me, like, do you want to go to the hospital first or would you like to give your statements? I'm like, I want to give my statements because it's as fresh as could be. And I knew I was like shaking and full of adrenaline. I'm like, I don't want to forget anything. I want to tell you everything. And so gave my statements. They went back and they were doing like crime scene reconstruction. So they were able to find my shopping bag that had the white gauze in it that I was beating on him with, that was covered in blood, probably both mine and his. And the white claws was actually like broken open. They were empty because I guess I was hitting him so hard. So they asked me, like, is this yours? They found my other shoe at one point. They were wonderful and, you know, did a really great job, I have to say. It was a super terrible experience, but every single first responder that I dealt with, from the police to the EMTs, the doctors and nurses in the hospital, you know, the victim services units that I've been dealing with afterwards, were like so wonderful. I cannot be grateful enough. And I know I'm very lucky that, one, I was in a position that people witnessed the crime, and those people so happen to be cops, and that carries a lot of weight. I know not all women are lucky enough to, one, get out of a situation like that and survive it, two, to even be believed that this person has hurt you and attacked you, and three, for, you know, the police to take action and choose to charge this person and kind of give them, you know, the full, whatever they can do via the law. So I'm so grateful. I'll have to do a part 2 because we're at 10 minutes, and I'll tell everyone about the legal stuff and contacting my family and my hospital experience and trying to get home from Vancouver. But I would just like to say, like, I'm very grateful for everyone who sent me really nice messages. The only thing I can say to like any other women is fight. Like, it doesn't fight, just fucking fight. You always think to yourself, like, what would I do in that sort of situation? Yeah, I think I would be able to fight, or would I be scared? I promise you that if you were in that situation, you would fight.
Even in North America, this is an issue. So I decided to look into my province. I live in British Columbia. I wanted to look up stats of GBV in my province. And there was an article published by the YWCA, and it's titled, "Gender-Based Violence Happens Everywhere in BC." So even where I live, this is an epidemic, y'all. Now, they went across the reported sexual assaults across BC last year, and they had some stats here. This is just what has been reported, and they believe that the numbers are much higher than what's being reported. The campaign focused on sexual assaults because data on gender-based violence is scarce. People are not reporting it. Nearly 1 in 2 women in BC, 48%, has experienced some form of IPV since age 15. 48%. 48%. Nearly half in my province, y'all. Continuing, nearly 30% have experienced physical or sexual violence. A woman or girl is unalived in Canada every 48 hours. Women living in Canada are almost 4 times more likely than men to have been sexually assaulted at least once since the age of 15. And y'all, we're not even going to get into Indigenous women. That's a whole nother video we got to talk about. They continue to say that who has declared an epidemic in Canada? Nova Scotia, Toronto, Mississauga, Hamilton, London, Kingston. And the province of Ontario is considering its own bill to declare an epidemic province-wide. This is not just on the other side of the world, y'all. It's in our own backyard. Y'all want to get to America? Let's get to America right now. There was an article written by Sanctuaries of Family. This was in 2023, y'all. In the U.S., femicide is often thought of as an issue affecting low-income countries. This could not be further from the truth. A study on female unaliving victimization among 25 populous high-income countries found that 70% of all cases occurred in the USA. USA, y'all. America. To put that into perspective, on a global scale, the US ranks 34th for intentional female unaliving at a rate of 2.6 unalivings per 100,000 women. I'm even going to include South Korea because that's where my husband's from. South Korea's surge in dating violence exposes lack of protections for women. And they said that there's been a disturbing trend happening of GBV. However, Korean law still treats partner violence as a minor crime. And y'all could go and check the case studies that I did prior on the two Courtneys. All right. Now, this goes to show that there's an alarming rate of GBV, and the laws are usually not in favor of women. So either the laws don't protect us, or we do not report it. Twofold. And that is because some women are not taken seriously. How many times have you guys seen stories of women taking out whole restraining orders and still getting unalived? They don't take it seriously, y'all. And then you guys want me to tell you to get into a relationship, and that once you get into a relationship, then your life is going to be set. You're going to live a more fulfilled life with these stats, y'all. I'm highlighting this to just show you how dangerous it is when you do not have, one, a sense of community, and two, a strong sense of self. Those two things will help you in the long run. Although I have highlighted the negative aspects, there are some really good people out there in this world. My point is just to make you aware and to have these voids filled before you can even think of going out and finding someone to complete you. This will help you along your journey. Now, this is going to lead me to the next part. Not everyone is meant to be in a relationship. Not everyone is meant to get married. Not everyone is meant to have children. I have to put this out there and be realistic with you all. Some people do not make it to those stages. All of what I'm going to say right now is related to purpose. What I have found is that sometimes the fantasy or illusion that you have in your head is actually you living out someone else's dream. Just because someone else is married and has children does not mean that that is your path. Just because someone was able to make it and become a millionaire or a business owner, that does not necessarily mean that that is going to be your path. Your path is going to look completely different. And I think that we have to learn to accept that. I will be honest with you all and transparent. I do not have children. That may not be in my cards. And I am okay with that. You know why? Because that might not just be my mission. Maybe my mission and purpose is not to be a mother to one or two or to my own children. Maybe my mission is to be a mother to thousands. I have accepted that because My reality is that this may not be the life for me. Sometimes you are put on this earth to fulfill a certain purpose, and then your time is up. Nothing is guaranteed, y'all. I want to make that very clear. Maybe you are waiting to find your husband or your partner in life. And what if you only spend a few years with them and they're gone?
How many people are walking out of a hospital today, knowing that someone they love is going to die and wondering, what the hell do I do?
Be the happiest day of their lives. A bride and groom dance the night away after saying, I do. Then, in a terrible turn of events, wedding crashers show up unexpectedly and end up killing the groom with baseball bats.
When he first left, people would be so kind, so just wonderful and lovely, but every once in a while, somebody would write, I'm going to turn this way because this hair over here did better than this hair over here. I'm just saying. Go stop. And they would say to me, I'm sorry to tell you, this is like, 1 week widowified. And they would say to me, I'm sorry to tell you this, Judge, but it'll never get any better. Please don't do that to any new widows you know. Don't do it. I feel better now than I did in December when he died. And that's how things are supposed to work. But while I'm under the rock, wondering whether or not I want to live another day, don't go tell a sister, it ain't never going to get no better. Because A, it does, and B, how would you know? And C, even if it's true, why would you tell me that at the lowest point of my life, that low is all you can go? It'll never get any better. I thought that was unkind. But most of you were loving, sweet, encouraging. Some of you made me laugh, and I appreciate it. So I just want to let you know I'm on my journey to better. You can give me any suggestions about, social activities, because I've never been a social person. I'm taking them.
안녕하세요 여러분, 사랑합니다. 제가 유튜브 이제 8년 동안 했는데 시작했을 때부터 지금까지 제일 오랫동안 영상 안 올렸던 것 같아요. 머리 정리하는 줄 알았는데 아직 말하기 어렵네요. 못 올렸던 이유는 사실 호주에 도착해서 좀 깜짝스러운 건강 문제 생겨서 영상 못 올렸어요.
네, 안녕하세요 여러분. 한국 사랑하는 호주 사라를 사랑하는 현입니다. 정말 이런 영상 찍고 싶지 않았어요. 그리고 이런 날이 안 올 거라고 믿고 있었고 생각했어요. 그리고 울고 싶지 않아요.
USA 9 News at 4:30 begins with an update on a story that has just connected with so many of you. We first introduced you to Courtney Smith late last year. The Maryland mother of 5 has been diagnosed with terminal cancer.
Many of you have been reaching out, wondering how she's doing. Well, sadly, tonight she is back in the hospital, and she says she's not sure how much time she has left.
Leslie Moreno spoke to Courtney in what she says may be her last interview.
Tonight from her hospital bed, Courtney Smith called WUSA 9 to say thank you and possibly goodbye.
It's been a roller coaster. I'm so tired. I'm tired of coming here. I'm tired of being in this hospital. I'm tired.
Courtney Smith was diagnosed with stage 3 invasive lobular carcinoma in 2021. Doctors told her she wouldn't make it past Christmas, but she's still here, in and out of the hospital and spending all her time with her husband and 5 children.
We did Disney for Christmas. That was not easy. Walking around the park was not easy, but I pushed for them. Definitely. I pushed it to the limit.
One of her last wishes was to lower the recommended mammogram age in hopes of diagnosing people earlier, a change Courtney says will save millions of lives.
I feel good about that. I'm very grateful that happened. I wish it can push it further down, of course, but I guess we can take the 40 for now.
Courtney says the cancer has spread to nearly 90% of her body. She's unable to walk and sometimes even talk. She's doing several rounds of radiation to keep the cancer from spreading even more and hopefully buy her more time with family.
The only thing I'm scared of is being away from my kids.
We have some sad news to pass along tonight. Family members confirming to WUSA9 a Maryland mother of 5, Courtney Smith, sadly passed away on Friday. You first met her back in 2023 when we told you that she was diagnosed with terminal cancer. Well, we were with her every step along the way. Here's Leslie Moreno.
WUSA 9 first met Courtney Smith, the mother of 5, in November of 2023 when doctors told her she had only months to live.
I'm asking about different things that I read about that it could possibly be. So they're like, no, this is cancer.
Courtney was diagnosed with stage 3 breast cancer in 2021. Over the next 4 years, she underwent several rounds of chemo, spent weeks and months in and out of hospice, fighting for her family. In November of 2023, doctors told her she wouldn't make it to Christmas. On March 14th, Courtney Smith passed away in the hospital, surrounded by family.
A memorial is growing. The NHL team shocked by the loss of its biggest star. They signed Johnny Gaudreau 2 years ago.
Hey, Johnny. How's it going? Todd. Hi.
The All-Star forward, nicknamed Johnny Hockey, gave new hope to a struggling team. On Thursday night, police say the 31-year-old and his younger brother Matthew were killed by a suspected drunk driver while riding bikes near their hometown. Johnny was the father of a baby boy and girl, Matthew, a hockey coach and husband. Today, their sister was supposed to get married.
This morning, we're learning more about Chelsea Cook. She was one of the victims of a wrong-way crash last weekend in Fort Worth that also killed 4 others. Her mom says Chelsea had just gotten engaged and was outgoing, loved to travel, and lifted others up.
Chelsea was the bubbliest of the bubbly and the friendliest of the friendly. She was all about the underdog, always looking for people who were awkward or struggling. She was loved by so many people.
You can see Chelsea here, the 33-year-old, with her fiancé, Evan Renao. Police say a family of 4 going the wrong way on Loop 20 hit the couple's pickup truck. That family died.
Or maybe you want to have a child so badly, and then you end up having that child. The child's gone, or you're gone. To drive this point home, I'm going to highlight the tragic story of a nursing influencer by the name of Hailey Okula, best known as Nurse Hailey on Instagram. She was a very popular nursing influencer and had about almost 500,000 followers. She was an ER nurse. She also provided a lot of nursing education. She helped nurses study for the NCLEX exam. Sorry if I'm saying it wrong. And she was just such an inspiration to many. Now, Hailey had a husband. They had been married for a few years. And they had the desire to have a child. Now, Nurse Hailey shared on her Instagram page how hard it has been for her and her husband to conceive their first child.
I struggled whether I wanted to post this or not, but here we are and here we go. My husband and I have struggled with infertility, and after every appointment seemingly bringing bad news, we officially got to start IVF yesterday. I have to give myself 2 shots every night at the same time for the next 10 days. Here you can see me freak out from accidentally squirting my meds out because of that shit's expensive. Side note, we had another test yesterday that brought us not great news, so I apologize for the tired eyes because I was crying a few hours before this, but this is meant to be a vulnerable post, so that's why I'm still posting it, even with ugly crying eyes. I have 8 more days of injections before our retrieval. Please wish us luck, and all the prayers are welcome during this journey for us.
After years and years of trying to conceive, they were able to get pregnant, and she was very excited on her new journey of becoming a mother. Nurse Hailey seemed to have it all, y'all. So she had her man, she was about to have her child, she had her career, and unfortunately, tragedy struck.
There's been a lot more sadness than joy, for sure. It's so hard to have joy when you are completely crushed.
The husband of nursing influencer Hailey Okula said she passed away of a rare complication after giving birth to their son and first child, Crew. In an interview with Fox 11 Los Angeles, Matthew Okula said Hailey, an ER nurse known on Instagram as Nurse Hailey, gave birth via C-section on Saturday, which was around April 4th. Shortly after, he said a doctor informed him they were doing CPR on her. She went into cardiac arrest, and the doctors say it was from a very, very rare complication known as amniotic fluid embolism, Okula said. So amniotic fluid embolism is basically when I believe some of the liquid from the placenta gets into the bloodstream. And for some women, it can cause an allergic reaction, and it literally makes your heart stop. And after that happens, there's only a small window of opportunity where they can revive you. Tragically, Nurse Hailey passed away at the age of 33 years old. A healthy, beautiful young woman who had so much life ahead of her. She had the husband, was about to have the child, and then that was it. Sometimes your time is up before you can even see what you've been waiting for, and the mission is over. While she was here on earth, she was able to make an impact. Whether she was married or pregnant, sis was fulfilling her purpose. She was able to achieve so much in such a short amount of time. Now, this is what I want to make clear. Sometimes you just have to focus on your purpose and your mission. Sis was still building community even when she was married, y'all. And I'm pretty sure even before she got married, she was still building community with her nursing and with her education. And of course, you don't have to be on social media. You can build community anywhere, doing anything. But point is that she was fulfilling her purpose while she was here on earth. And then when that time was up and it came to an end, she was able to transition. Now, it's very sad that she's transitioned. Her son is going to miss out on her being there. The saddest part about this entire story is that she only got to hold her son for a few seconds, y'all. What she had worked towards, she only got to experience for a few seconds before she passed. My point is this: no one knows the time or the hour. All we can do is focus on today and now. Instead of thinking about what you're lacking, think about what can you do with the time that you have. Because that time is going by faster than you think it is. It's good to focus on different areas of your life that need improvement. That's not an issue at all. My point is that you shouldn't make it such a priority that you think that is going to be a fairy tale. You're going to live happily ever after when you get it. Because, baby, one thing life has taught me is that nothing is ever guaranteed. Here's the truth, y'all. Being single is not a failure. And I think that once you start to reprogram that thought in your mind, then you will start to look at your life differently. Whatever purpose that you have in life, just think of it as right now, no matter what happens in my life, I have the time to be all in and put my energy into different things. So instead of thinking of it as a hindrance, think of it as an opportunity to do more. What I want to encourage you all to do is to focus on yourselves and focus on building stronger bonds with the people that you value and that have poured into you. The way the world is going right now, we have totally lost our sense of community. And I think that as a single person and even as a married person, whatever your situation is, that we can always do more in trying to support each other because we're all part of this community together. As a single person, you have an advantage that married women don't have and women with children do not have. You're able to really resource your time well and be more efficient and have better time management than the rest of us, for the simple fact that you do not have any other obligations to someone else. That is a plus. While you're in the season of fulfilling your purpose, you'll be able to invest a lot more time and effort into it and energy, and that'll set you up for whatever will come afterwards. So instead of trying to force situations just out of feelings of loneliness or feeling like you need it because society tells you to, or feeling this desire that may not even come from romantic relationships but might actually be you needing to be more in community, I would suggest that you all think deeply about what it is that is keeping you from fulfilling the purpose that you actually need to fulfill. What it is that is influencing your decisions and the decisions that you make in your life. and also to take actionable steps to make sure that you're aligned with your purpose and not living out someone else's purpose for you or what you've been programmed to think. What I would suggest is that you think of ways to declutter your mind and reprogram what you've been taught and make a way for yourself. That will truly bring you the freedom and the peace that you desire. On that note, thank you so much for watching this video. I hope that you found it informative. I hope that I didn't use too many research articles, but y'all know how I do it. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and until next time, take care of your beautiful selves. Bye.